All right, Gridiron Gang. I know it's been a minute since I've put one of these out. My apologies. I didn't really plan to do one after the Bears game because Aaron wasn't playing. So, I mean, that was kind of a wash regardless of what would have happened. Didn't really matter to the standings. And like I said, Aaron wasn't in the game. That Bills game, I was embarrassed. And time just kind of got away from me every week, with the holiday season but whatnot. I wasn't one of the fans questioning Tomlin because, I mean, it takes a lot for me too. But I had gotten to that point with that game. Terrell Austin was the one, in my opinion, that needed to go because he's calling the plays there. But then last week, I really wanted to put out a video about the Ravens game. That was a huge game. But like I said, the holiday season time got away from me. Big win there. A lot of impressive things in that game, but didn't get a chance to cover them. Was impressed with that win, though. So diving into last week's game against the Dolphins, or Monday night's game against the Dolphins. Offensively, first half was kind of rough. They didn't do much of anything until the end of the game, or the half. I think we had 3 and out, 13 plays on the one drive. That was only 39 yards, and then 2 punts, or they were all punts and short drives. But then you got that 12-play touchdown drive that ended the half there with about 17 seconds left on the clock after the Dolphins had gone up 3. Um, it was kind of dicey there. I thought the Dolphins had some chances to put something together there in that first half, but luckily Tua is abysmal, and from there it just kind of spiraled. The run game, we stopped the run game. That was quite impressive from my standpoint. Then got that touchdown at the end at the end of the half with Connor pushing it in from the 1 yard line, and then you double up in the with the kickoff of the opening half with Aaron to MVS, which was pretty impressive offensively there as well. And then defensively, the third quarter, the Dolphins had a total of negative 20 yards. Fourth quarter, they put together some drives in meaningless time after we were up 28-3. So defensively overall, I think they did pretty well. But that's just general gameplay. You score 4 straight touchdowns. You should be pretty impressed with your offense the way they're going. It seemed like Miami had kind of given up at that point. But as far as Aaron's day goes, he went 23 for 27, not bad. Only missed, had 4 incompletions, 3 sacks, 1 sack. He was kind of towards the end of the game there, where he just kind of gave himself up, which was a smart play. That's the reason you bring that type of guy in, for that kind of play towards the end. 224 for total yards. Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell kind of split carries there. Jalen was a late addition to the injury report, popping up with an illness, and then reports came out afterwards that he was really sick after the game. So even for him to get out there and get a hat on and to do the kind of impressive things that he does, they weren't as impressive as they normally are. His longest carry was 6 yards. But then Gainwell, he's been a amazing addition to the team. 80 yards on 13 carries, 6.2 average, and then he had looks about 46 yards through the air. Then you had DK getting 3 catches for 55 yards and a touchdown, a pretty impressive touchdown where he essentially shoved Minkah Fitzpatrick to the ground after a tipped catch. That was a 28. I think that was a 28-yarder there for that. Then I already talked about Gainwell. Pat had 4 catches for 45 yards, and then you had receivers having, or the running backs having a bunch. Jalen Warren had 3, and Kenneth had 7, which is kind of, Aaron talked about that in his press conference. They're running a 2 shell, so you're not going to get a lot of those deep threats like you did against the Ravens. We did take advantage of some of that inner midfield. That was where DK got his touchdown, and also where looks like MVS, I think he was coming across the middle when he caught his touchdown as well. So you take advantage of that deep 2 shell zone type look, and you get those guys underneath, and you got those linebackers against wide receivers. I'll take that any day as far as catching goes. So yeah, that's offensively how they look. Defensively, you obviously were without T.J. Watt, who had the dry needling incident. Hopefully he's back next week. We haven't really heard much about that. I don't know what kind of dry needle gets to your lungs and collapses your lungs, but hopefully he rights the ship and gets back against the Lions. Another game that, I mean, it'd be nice to have the win, but it doesn't really matter. At this point, it comes down to that last game. We could lose the next two as long as we beat the Ravens week 18. We win the division. But it'd be nice to go into the playoffs with a winning streak and finish 11-6. So we'll head to Detroit, see what we can do there. Defensively, Patrick Queen, 10 tackles. He had 2 sacks. Oh, no, shit, 4 sacks, sorry. Cam had 1. Jalen had 1. That was an impressive one. Patrick Wilson had 1. And then Otomoe. That's the first time I'm saying that name. Hopefully I'm not slaughtering it, but he did well. Asante Samuel Jr. had that pick right away. I mean, we didn't do much with that. We had our longest drive of the first half. After that, took up some time off the clock, but didn't really do much of anything. We got close for a field goal, but then Aaron got sacked towards the end there, so we had that weak punt from Carlos Waitman. It wasn't necessarily a weak punt. It was just the coverage guys got fooled by where the ball was, so they had to pick it up and go from there. It could have been down at the 1 if whoever was down there was paying attention close enough to that. But then as far as special teams goes, like I said, Waitman had a rough day with that one punt that went into the end zone, but otherwise, not too bad. 46.2 yard average. Can't ask too much of him. 5 punts on the day. No field goals for Boswell, but he was 4 for 4 for extra points. Another, like I said, it was an impressive win. We dominated the time of possession. I think we almost doubled them up. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, I can't really find it, but here we go. This might be it. No. Anyways, the game, I honestly thought that it was going to be a loss coming out of Monday night. I've said all year that this team has a tough time showing up at night, but they showed up at night, and the color rush against the Dolphins, the run defense, that's all I heard about Miami coming in, was that their running game was phenomenal, and over their 4-game winning streak and 5 out of 6, they've been running the ball pretty well, but you held A-Chain in check. I mean, 12 for 60 for 5-yard average isn't really in check, but you get them down 2 scores, they're not going to be able to run the ball too much. And then Tua, his stats looked impressive, but it was a lot of garbage time plays where we were playing prevent, not really trying to stop him. From getting catches, is just kind of keeping the clock rolling. When he was in pressure situations in that first half before the game got away from him, he did not look good. He threw the 1 interception, which I don't know if he didn't see Samuel there or what happened, but that shouldn't have been thrown. I heard McDaniel talking after the game that they might think about benching him, and I don't know if the brain scrambled or what's going on there, but he has not looked like the same guy since that last concussion. That year they had the run towards the division title and they lost it towards the end. That was probably his best year, and it might be his final go-around. I know there's a lot of money in him, but we'll see what happens with the Dolphins. But anyways, I'm not here to talk about the Dolphins. Aaron Rodgers had an impressive game. I've said that throughout this whole video. You bring in a veteran to do that type of thing, and I hope that he starts spreading the ball around. I know it was a cold night, and you're not going to be able to get too many good passes to too many guys, but he did spread it around a little bit last night, and hopefully this offense evolves and we keep moving forward with the guys that we have, those veteran guys. I know Thielen had 1 catch in this game. I'd like to see him get a little bit more involved. But it's the Arthur Smith offense. Everybody that was clamoring for a wide receiver 2, there's no real room for a wide receiver 2. But it's nice to have a guy like that can take attention away from the defense. People weren't threatened by Kelvin Austin or Roman Wilson. They might not be as threatened by Thielen, but as they were, 5 years ago, but he still demands attention that it takes that additional attention away from DK. So offensively, I think we're going to start clicking here. Jalen Warren gets healthy or is not ill next week. I'd like to see those guys, split the carries again and have a big running game against Detroit. I know they have a good defense, a good defensive line. So we'll see what happens in Detroit. Merry Christmas, everyone, and I'll talk to you next week.